Hello, welcome back everybody. I've been gone for almost 2 months now. Hope you all had fun. I existed. I'm here today to talk about Arvopia version 0.4, which was released March 29th and is called the Light Update. This was a huge update. It didn't do well for speed, but it added a lot of content that I was able to use, and I'm still able to use to this day in very helpful ways, so it was a good update, I'd say. I might change my mind by the end of this video, but let's get into it now. First thing you'll notice when you load up the game, a whole big change to the title screen. First off, we have buttons. We have more than just a start button, which is still like MS Paint, bad sprite, I don't like it. But we have options how to play, changelog, and a quit button. All of these take you to respective spots. Quit button doesn't work like it's intended, but it had a good purpose. There's also, you can notice a color in the background where everything is a sky blue to match the sky in the game. There's also a rushed but still decent logo that was added at the top here. Along with all of these graphical changes, you can hear that there's music in the background, and this is the first version with music, and there are 4 different songs to go with a respected part of the game. Each song will play at a designated time, so if it's daytime you'll play one of the 2 default daytime songs. If it's nighttime, get into that, it'll play the nighttime song, and if you're on the title screen like I am right now, it'll play this title screen song. So we'll go through those, you'll probably hear those throughout the video, but let's move on to the next part, which is the changelog and the how to play menu. The changelog is what you'd expect. It's a changelog from 0.4 all the way back to a guess on what happened before 0.1. I don't really remember what happened back here, but this is a sort of guess. So 0.0 was physics, grass tiles, tree tiles, player, and worlds. This was before I had released it ever for any sort of playable version, so this is just all the basic stuff. You can go to 0.1, 0.2, 0.2. You can go watch my videos on those. I get more into detail about those. You can also read the changelog for yourself, so you know, have fun with that. How to play. This is the first thing you'll see on startup, because it'll tell you how to play, and you can have an option to never show this again. It's decent. It doesn't go through everything that I'd like it to go through, but it gets its message across. Also, it gets worlds wrong, where the only worlds that are actually in the game are World 3 and World 4, which are named World 1 and World 2, so it's wrong. Now the options menu. This was a big change to move the FPS slider here from the title screen that it was in the previous versions. This changes the actual render speed instead of the overall game speed, so now it actually works as a frames per second slider instead of a game speed slider. So you can set that to 30 and it'll still run the same speed, but you know, it'll render slower. Time speed, this changes how fast in-game time goes, so it's not the overall game speed that the FPS was last version, but there's an in-game clock, and so that'll go faster depending on how high you set the time speed. Scale tells you how zoomed in or out you are in the game. It's a little of a graphical glitch. It doesn't work the best, but it still is in the game. Light quality, that determines how big each light cell is. I'm gonna get into light quality and all that stuff later. And volume just changes how loud the game is with its sounds and songs. So that's about that. If the sliders aren't working for you, hit the slider debug button, because that was there if things aren't working, and it should work. Clicking on the start button will take you to this new menu, which displays 2 worlds. World 1 is the previous world that has been in every version. World 2 is a newer world. It's It's alright, I'll get into both of those. Let me show you World 1 first. Something you'll notice right away is that the speed sucks as much as you'd expect it to. Last version I expected 0.2 to be very slow, but what I was actually thinking about is this version, because it sucks. It's hardly playable. There's a certain set of options that make this game a lot faster, so set your light quality as high as you can. You can turn volume off, that makes the game faster slightly. I mean, if you really like the music, then keep it on, but if you want faster gameplay, I recommend to turn it off. Now, the game is semi-playable. So this is World 1 right now. There's really no difference between this and the previous versions of the game, so take it for what you will. It's the same. World 2, however, is very basic. There's no platforms in the sky. It's all like flat plains. There's a few ledges and whatnot, but overall, it's really just a simple, basic world. There's this little change in the controls. This change really just being that you can jump and duck in the air. So if you move and then duck in the air, I think it's like a small fun addition. It's not really that big, but I like it. I don't know. So I changed the combat in this game. Instead of being a point and click, it's more of a close range, distance-based combat, where it's very primitive, but you basically get next to something, you hold right click, and then you hold left click, and you'll start punching. You'll see this little punching animation here. If you're close enough to an entity, it'll start damaging it, dealing 1 health point, which, unless you're using an item, which is provided, you've got just your fists, you've got a sword, and then you've got a torch. Sword can be very helpful, especially when you're dealing with cannibals. These cannibals were implemented now. They're still in the game, the latest update. I just don't know where they went. They don't spawn for some reason, so I'm going to work on fixing that. In this version, they will wreck your face, so watch out. They're deadly. Each cannibal tribe has an alpha cannibal that they follow, so if you get hit by that guy, watch out, you're going to die. So be prepared, be ready to run as fast as you can. If you can defeat the alpha cannibal, another one of the cannibals will take that position. So it's difficult. It's definitely not the best combat, but it's better than what I had before. There's a special thing about each item, the sword being that it does the most damage. However, the torch, it has a special ability other than having an animation that you can see, which is, again, it's not the best. It's poorly done. However, when it becomes nighttime, with the latest edition of a clock and other environment stuff, you'll start to see a little effect around the torch. You might notice that it's getting darker on the screen, and there it is. The torch will start displaying a light as a light source during the night, so you can use it for travel. It's got nighttime makes the game way slower, so yeah, watch out for that. But it actually looks decent. The sun and the moon are both sources of light. They play in. The moon is especially visible as a light source since it's dark during the night. The sun, you kind of see its light source at sundown and sunup. So look out for that. Now, the way that I do light in this game is where light quality comes in. Each light is rendered in cells, and each cell is as big as the light quality says it will be. So if you set the light quality to something really small, you're going to get a really fine and precise rendered light. However, it's much, much, much faster to set it to something big like 30 or 31, where it takes less time to get through each cell and draw them. While also using light cells to render light, each light source draws a set of circles around it so you can see another separate glowing effect that isn't affected by light quality. It's always going to be there. It's always going to look a lot smoother than the rest of the light rendering. Also mentioned earlier, there is a time now in the game, and you'll see a clock in the bottom left corner. It's been there the whole video, but look at that to tell the time. And during the night, there are stars in the background, so they look pretty good, I'd say. There are a good few bug fixes in this version. First off, being that you could actually jump. So every time you jump, you will jump. Instead of pathetically like hopping like 3 inches off the ground. You can get a full height now, you can get places instead of hoping that you'll get places. Also fixed in this version is whenever you jump into a bridge, you'll actually jump into it like it's a half solid block. Instead of pushing you straight to the top of the block, it'll do what a normal bridge should do. Also, you can't walk through blocks if you have only part of your side against it. If you hit B, it'll show hitboxes like last update, and now you can see that it's fixed. Also, you might have noticed that stones don't have collision anymore. They are not solid entities, so you can walk straight through them. That fixed a glitch that I had going on earlier, where if you walk into the side of a stone, it'll glitch out. Also, entities and items, so if I click this flower and have it pop out a few items, there's no more graphical glitches between those. They will render differently, and you won't have to see any flashing mixing between those. So I've just about covered all the basic main additions. There will always be some smaller additions, and you can read through the changelog to see those, which is packaged with this version. This update, it was alright. The speed was absolutely terrible, but the content, A+. But because of speed, I'm going to B-. It's alright. Links to my original videos are down in the description, as well as an iCard here, I don't know where, to the original 0.4 update. So check out those if you want to see my original take on them. Also check out my website at www.zango.com if you want to download this for yourself and see what you think of it. Follow my Twitter at Zango and subreddit r/Arvopia for more updates. That'll be more frequent than me posting a video every 2 months. So if you're interested, check those out. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you with update 0.5. I'm Zango, and I'll see you next time.